Hello guys, I see some people slowly coming in, so we'll just give it a couple more seconds and then we will start the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. So welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all New Jersey students, sponsored by the New Jersey Association for College Admissions Counseling and StriveScan. So thank you for joining us. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at njacac.org/virtualfair. This presentation is also being recorded and will be available within a week at the same website, njacac.org/virtualfair. So right now I'd like to turn it over to our presenters.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen so we can start the presentation. All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Lakeisha. I am an admissions counselor at Drew University. I am also a proud alum of Drew, so I am happy to be here with you this afternoon to talk to you a little bit more about the school that I love. Joined with me today is my colleague Annie, who is also an admissions counselor, as well as our current student, Alexa. You'll be able to hear more from them as we go throughout the presentation. As our facilitator mentioned, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation, but you can go ahead and start asking your questions using the Q&A function. We will also have a few polls throughout the presentation as well that we would really like for you to participate in. In order to participate, you would need to have your smartphone ready so that you can take a picture of the QR code that will be on the screen and it will take you directly to the poll. The last two questions in the poll are giveaway questions. So the person who answers both questions correctly and the fastest will win a giveaway from Drew. So Drew University, we are located in Madison, New Jersey. If you are unfamiliar with the Madison area, Madison is a small suburban town. It's a really beautiful, cute town, especially the downtown area. And our campus is just a 10-minute walk to the downtown area. So our students love to just walk downtown and hang out together. They love to grab coffee at some of the local coffee shops downtown. They'll grab ice cream at McCool's, which is the local ice cream shop. There are restaurants and bookstores and different things for students to do there. There's the annual festival that happens. There's also a farmer's market that happens as well. So there are a number of activities our students like to participate in the downtown Madison area. Drew is also located right next door to Morristown, which is a little bit larger than the town of Madison. In Morristown, there's a movie theater and more restaurants and shops, so our students like to hang out in the Morristown area as well. In addition to providing hangout spots, Madison and Morristown is a great area to be in, especially for different professional opportunities. So we are right next door to the Morristown Medical Center, which is a huge hospital in the area. There are pharmaceutical firms, there are law firms, there are other businesses and corporations right in our immediate area that we are able to take advantage of and our students are able to connect with and get internships and job placements and various things like that. Speaking of all those things, our campus is also a 10-minute walk to the Madison train station. And from the train station, you can get into New York City in less than 1 hour. So our students definitely take advantage of our proximity to New York City. They go into New York to hang out and do various activities. And we also have some unique opportunities that take place in New York City, again, with internships and different classes that students can take. and we'll be talking a little bit more about those later on in the presentation. So Drew University is a small liberal arts school. We have about 1,700 undergraduate students. Our student to faculty ratio is 12:1, and our average class size is around 17. So you're in small class sizes, you really have the opportunity to get to know your professors, and professors really get to know their students and serve as mentors to our students. So we'll be talking a little bit more about the importance of mentorship in the educational process at Drew a little later on. But some of our popular majors include business, biology, economics, psychology, and theater arts. And I mentioned that we are a liberal arts school, so we have majors from all different perspectives and fields. And what's great about that is that our students really have the opportunity to mix and match their various passions and interests. It is very common for our Drew students to have multiple majors and multiple minors that maybe on paper may not be related, but our students somehow make them fit together because they have that flexibility at Drew to really dive into their various interests and create an educational path that is just right for them. So here's our first poll, guys. We want to know what majors you are interested in. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a picture of the QR code on the screen, it'll take you directly to the poll, and you can just type in the different majors that you are interested in. Let's see those majors. All right, here we go. We got data science, psychology, computer science, awesome. Biology, great. English, awesome. Are there any others coming in? All right, so we see that we have a number of different areas. You'll be hearing a little bit more about the different opportunities that may be fitting and exciting for you in those different areas. Thanks for participating, guys. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Annie, who will continue through the presentation.
Hi guys, so again, my name is Annie, and thank you so much for joining us today. I love that participation there. I love to see that broad range of interests from, you know, spread across a multitude of disciplines. We had some science there, some, you know, some social sciences, some of the humanities, and that's the beauty of a place like Drew, right? That's the beauty of the liberal arts, is that we have 50+ fields of study to choose from, and you guys all, it seems, have or some of you have a sense of what it is that you want to study, but some of you might have, you might be undecided, and that is a-okay. It's actually encouraged at a place like Drew, you know, to come in with an open mind and to be you know, to be open to new interests awakening, because, you know, oftentimes there's students that come in and they're convinced they want to be pre-med, and then they take a biochemistry class or anatomy and physiology, and they're like, this is not for me, but they pick up a love for neuroscience or psychology that that they never knew they had. And also, in addition to, you know, the establishing the major piece, I think regardless of what it is that you major in at Drew, whether it be neuroscience or theater or English, the liberal arts prepares you with these skills that are good for life, right? And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we are very proud of our liberal arts identity. We believe in the, you know, the pure knowledge of things, and you know, the ability to look at things through a variety of lenses. And, you know, you're at a place like Drew, you're learning how to think. You're not just learning, you know, you're not just absorbing material, you're learning how to think and critically and analytically, but all of that has to be coupled with real world learning experience, right? You know, you could be a philosophy or a psychology or an econ major, and the trajectories within that field could look entirely different. So, you know, how do we help you translate what it is that you're learning in the classroom to, you know, the real world? So I'm here to talk a little bit about our launch program, and I'm careful to even call it a program because it's actually not something that you opt into. It's a guaranteed part of the Drew experience for every single student. And the idea behind that is that none of our students come in, you know, we start from day one starting to think about what it is that you might be interested in. And that doesn't mean that you need to have a 10-year life map planned out, but we make that whole, you know, the job planning and career prep piece both seamless and exciting. And what's more important to us than you landing a great job or getting into a great graduate program when you graduate from Drew, which that's all hugely important as well, but is that you're graduating with a sense of purpose and direction, and you've really maximized your potential at Drew and figured out what it is that you're, you know, that makes you tick. You found your niche, you found your passion, you know, you take your interests and your strengths, and you know, that's what motivates you. So what is an immersive experience? An immersive experience is essentially any out of the classroom experience at Drew. And through our launch program, every student is guaranteed 2 of these experiences. So it could be a study abroad experience. It could be research at a local pharmaceutical or right on Drew's campus with a retired industrial scientist. It could be, you know, an internship in Morristown at a local law firm, or it could be one of our New York City semesters. And Lakeisha touched on this earlier in the presentation, and I want to just highlight some of those programs, those city semesters, because I think they really encapsulate kind of the pillars of the Drew experience, how we leverage our proximity to New York, how there's such a close-knit relationship between faculty and students, and a built-in level of mentorship, and how we believe in real-world learning, like taking the learning experience beyond the classroom, beyond campus, and staying constantly connected to the real world and what's going on in the real world. So when I started at Drew 8 years ago, which is hard for me to say every time, but we had 3 New York City semesters. We had our United Nations semester, which has been around since the 60s. We had our Wall Street semester, which came in the 90s. And then we had a contemporary art semester. And the way that they're structured is, Lakeisha touched on earlier in the presentation, this, how close we are to the city, but how you kind of get the best of both worlds, being in a beautiful suburban, you know, wooded campus, but having such easy access to the city. And I think the city semesters just highlight that, you know, that balance. You're in the city 2 days a week, you're taking the train in, these costs are included in tuition. For Wall Street, for example, you're taking classes in the morning somewhere in the financial district, and then that afternoon, you could be on the floor of the stock exchange. You could be sitting in on meetings at, you know, JP Morgan or Bank of America or wherever. You're doing something different every day, and you're really, you know, you're working closely with your professors that morning, and they're walking you through kind of how the material is literally brought to life in front of you. So these are examples of how the city is used as a classroom, and one of our many immersive experience opportunities. Like I said, we now have 6 programs, and I think that's a reflection of Drew's, you know, kind of commitment to student demand and interest in what's going on in the world. We have a theater semester, which coincides nicely with our nationally ranked theater program. We have a social entrepreneurship New York City semester, which explores kind of the business behind sustaining a nonprofit. And we have a communications and media semester, which is definitely a growing major at Drew and covers everything from, you know, PR to marketing to editing to publishing. And so again, these really exciting opportunities. And when we're living in a world where 85% of jobs are, you know, are attained because of personal connections, then this is the way to get your foot in the door. And more than that, more than strengthening your resume and landing a great job, which again is of course part of the goal, but more than that is you're learning so much about like the inner workings of the financial market, and you're learning about whether or not, you know, you like it, and what parts about it you like and what you might not like. And, you know, you might do a Wall Street semester and realize you're more interested in the creative side of business. And again, it's learning by doing. And the reality is for some of you, I'm sure it's a range of ages, and I'm sure some juniors and seniors here, by the time you guys are juniors or seniors in college, the kind of landscape of the job market could look slightly different. So the importance of staying kind of connected to what's going on in the real world is hugely important and a big part of the Drew experience. Move on to the perfect. So Lakeisha already touched on the, you know, classes and how they're small and interactive and discussion oriented, and how the students professor ratio is 12:1. But more than that, there's, you know, so you organically establish a number of academic mentors. And in addition to that, through our launch program, you're also working closely with you know, professionals through where you're building this kind of network of customized mentors based on your interests and your experiences. So these could consist of industry leaders that we have connections with, a lot of alumni involvement, staff, and then of course faculty. You know, you have an assigned academic advisor when you decide to declare your major at Drew. But again, the professional piece and kind of built-in support system to help you figure out what's next. How do I land that dream internship? And, you know, how do I just connect with this one person and pick their brains about what it is that they do, and grab a cup of coffee with them. And, you know, it's these types of experiences that build your resume and have you graduate with these, you know, resume ready experiences through your immersive experiences, but also give you that sense of direction and passion. And I think that the accessibility, again, highlighting our location and how this is built into the curriculum as a requirement for all of our students, it really helps, you know, prevent the case where it's junior, senior year and it's time to secure an internship or it's time to secure a job and you don't really even know where even is the career counseling office on campus. Again, it's all synced and embedded into curriculum. So that doesn't mean that we're, you know, it's still up to you to maximize the, you know, the resources and make the most of what's offered at Drew. But it's, again, built into your experience. So it's both motivating and exciting. And, you know, really helps you graduate equipped and ready to make your mark. Which is a good segue into this transferable skills piece. So the conceptualization behind launch was really driven by a lot of research and a lot of conversations with top-notch employers, like how do we make our students as marketable as possible when it comes time to graduate? You know, compared to other students that have great GPAs from great schools, how do we push our students' resumes to the top of the pile? And the resounding response was this emphasis on transferable skills, this emphasis on skills like critical thinking skills and team collaboration skills and reading and writing and research skills and you know, the ability to communicate effectively and work collaboratively with others. And all of these skills that are built into the curriculum at Drew through, you know, the dynamic of the classroom and through our launch program and through these resume ready experiences that are listed on both your transcript and your, you know, and your extensive resume, so that when you're interviewing and you're speaking with employers, they see this and they can see these transferable skills you know, are very evident, and you can also speak to specific scenarios, like problems in the office that you've seen through a New York City semester, and how you would work through it in a much more sophisticated way than a lot of other, you know, 21 and 22-year-olds, you know, your peers and your competitors. So whether you're whatever it is that you might be pursuing professionally, these skills matter in every single professional path. And also for those of you who graduate, you know, in one field and decide down the road that you might be ready for a slight shift, these skills are forever with you. So you take them with you across all of your, you know, wherever your professional path might lead you. And then just wrapping up the launch conversation, also built into launch are, communities and affinity groups that are really just, places where you can identify and connect with people of similar backgrounds and interests. And they're just like more built-in kind of families and support groups. So there's a community for first generation students. There are, in addition to these communities, then there are also groups where you can connect with students of similar educational and professional interests as you. So there's, education and the law, and then there's the arts, and then there's sciences. And again, in addition to just already feeling like such a part of a broader community, you're having conversations with peers of, who have similar interests, and you're able to, work closely with them and constantly feel supported and pushed to be the best that you can be. Which is a good segue into our conversation about, student life, and who better to talk about that than our student here. So take it away, Alexa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa. I'm a senior at Drew. I major in political science, and I have a minor in law, justice, and society. I'm also a student athlete. I am on the Drew women's soccer team. Coming into Drew, I had a really built-in community already because I came in with a bunch of recruits and I had my teammates. I live in Woodland Park, New Jersey, which is not too far from Drew. It's about 20-25 minutes. Regardless, I decided that I was going to live on campus because of what I saw at my first Discovery Drew Day. As soon as I stepped foot on campus, it immediately felt like home. Walking in the forest, everything was like a 10-minute walk on campus, and it really like touched home with me and wanting to be there and build connections with my friends and colleagues. So I immediately started finding my way. I found my first advisor through my DSEM, which is our first year seminar at Discover Drew Day. And he ended up being my advisor for my first year. And then once I declared my major, I decided I got an advisor in my major, but I still kept in touch with him. And that's the beauty of Drew. You're never going to lose any of the connections you make from the first year to your last year at Drew. He ended up going on a short trek, which is one of our study abroad opportunities. And I went to Ireland with him this past January before the pandemic hit. So it was a great way to see our relationship evolve. And there's a lot of different opportunities on campus to get involved, whether it's research or clubs. And one of the things I got involved with was our Drew Student Voter Project. I'm really big advocate of voter registration and students and faculty knowing the electoral process. So one of my roles within that is as I'm the data manager, so I help make sure all the forms that are filled out are correct and that students have the correct information. But I also help give presentations. So today I actually gave 3 presentations on the voting process in New Jersey, but also what's going on with our elections this November. And one of the classes I presented in was my first year advisor's presentation. So you never know when you're gonna pop in on one of your old professor classes. You're never gonna know when you're gonna meet one of your best friends professors who's one of their advisors. My roommate for 2 years, her advisor was rushing to get some presentations in, and she's like, can someone do it? And I don't have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I ended up giving presentations in her class. So Drew's, it's a nice close-knit community, but we also bring that community outside of Drew, into Madison, into Morristown, where we make really great connections with the people who live in town and the broader Morris County area. And Annie mentioned our New York City semesters are a great opportunity of having an immersive experience. I did one of mine on the United Nations semester in the fall of 2019 as a student athlete, and I did it during season. So it's very doable. Our coaches encourage us to take every opportunity we get to expand our network, as well as grow in the skills we can learn as a student and career-wise, so that when we leave Drew, we can enter the workforce ready to hit the ground running and really excel in the community we decide to go into. So that was a very much of a challenge. I had to have very, very good time management skills, but I wouldn't have traded that experience for the world. This come December, I actually graduate. I'm graduating a semester early, but every opportunity I've had at Drew has been phenomenal, and it's been bittersweet. I'm applying to law schools, and I'm now asking professors for recommendation letters. And the professor's like, oh my gosh, of course I'll write you one. Like, the connections you make, and you make them on a personal level. You don't just make them on an academic level. You really get to know them. So it's been a great time, and I thoroughly enjoyed what I've learned, especially working in admissions with Lakeisha and Annie. So without much pause, I'll turn it back over to them.
Thank you so much, Alexa, for sharing your experiences. All right, so here is the next opportunity. We have 2 more questions, and these are our final questions. These 2 questions will give you the opportunity to win a free Drew t-shirt. So all you have to do is make sure you scan that QR code on the screen, and it'll ask you for your name, and that is how you will join the quiz. So we'll give you a few seconds to join, and then we'll get started with our 2 poll questions. Anyone else want to join? We'll give it a few more seconds. All right, so here is our first question. You'll have 15 seconds to submit your answer. Which of the following sports are played at Drew? All right, hope you got your answers in. All right. So we're split in half between the first 2 choices. So the correct one is the first one. We have fencing, volleyball, soccer, and basketball. In addition to other sports, we have 22 Division III varsity sports. So those 4 are part of the 22. All right, and here is this last question for you. What is Drew's mascot? You have 15 seconds to complete this one. All right. Oh, 80% said Ranger Bear, 20% Circuit Rider. No one voted the Mighty Squirrel. So the correct answer was the Ranger Bear. And our winner is Deirdre. Congratulations. We will be contacting you, Deirdre, to get your shirt size, and be sure to mail you out a t-shirt. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in our poll. So we're going to continue in our presentation, and I'm going to chat to you a little bit more about the application process and financial aid. So Drew does accept the Common and Coalition apps. And when we review our applications, we really take a holistic approach to reviewing them. So for example, when we're looking at your transcript, we're not just looking at your GPA. We're looking at what makes up your GPA. We're looking at the types of classes that you're taking, how rigorous those courses are, and what your grades are that you are making in those classes. We do read every single essay that students submit, so I always encourage students to proofread, proofread, proofread again, and then have someone else proofread it for you to make sure that it says exactly what you want it to say. Really what we're looking for is we want to know who you are. We want to get a sense of who you are, what you're passionate about, what you've been learning over these years in high school, what experiences you've had that have made you into the person that you are today. We also read every letter of recommendation. We ask for two, one from your counselor and one from a teacher. We do look at your extracurricular activities, even if it's just, you know, helping a neighbor rake leaves during the fall, or the clubs and sports that you're involved in school. We take into consideration all of your extracurricular activities. We are test optional. We have been test optional for several years. We will continue to be test optional. So you do not have to worry about trying to get a test score date or worry about the scores that you get. You do not have to submit them. And even if you don't submit them, you can still qualify for merit scholarships. And I'll talk a little bit more about those in a bit. And lastly, although the interview is not required, we do strongly recommend that students interview with us. It is a great way, again, to help us to get to know who you are beyond what you write in your essay. And it also is a great way for you to get to know Drew and to ask us the questions that you have. We are doing online interviews for the fall. They are available right now. You can go on our website and sign up for an interview. Here are our application deadlines. We have several deadlines starting with November 1st. November 1st is for students who are interested in our accelerated medical program with New Jersey Medical School. November 1st is also our early decision deadline. Early decision is the binding agreement that you make between yourself and the university. So it's basically saying if you are admitted, you're coming. We also have an early action deadline, which is December 1st. Early action is not a binding agreement. It's just a way for you to know a little earlier where you stand with the university. For those who wanted to apply early decision, they missed the first deadline. We have a second option for you, and that is our early decision 2 deadline of January 15th. Again, that is a binding agreement. And lastly, our regular decision deadline is February 1st. So you have a number of different options for applying to Drew. So just so you know, the FAFSA is available now. It became available on October 1st for all of our seniors. Last year, Drew students received over $33 million in institutional grants and scholarships, and over 85% of Drew students are receiving some form of institutional aid. So Drew has been very generous in terms of scholarships and grants. One of the things that we encourage students to do if you are applying for financial aid, try to complete the FAFSA and your Drew application at the same time. The reason for that is we want to give you all of the information at once so that you have everything you need in order to make your decision. So when you receive your admissions letter to Drew, you'll also receive your full financial aid package. And in addition to grants and federal aid, we also have merit scholarships. So I mentioned that students have the opportunity to receive merit scholarships. You don't have to submit a separate application for our general merit scholarships. When you apply to Drew, you are automatically considered for that. So our general merit scholarships range in between $10,000 to $25,000. We do have options for you to apply for additional scholarships on top of the general scholarships that you may receive. So we have our Baldwin Honors Program. There is a scholarship associated with that of $2,500. If you are interested in the Baldwin Honors, all you will have to do is click yes on the Common or Coalition app, and you just say, yes, consider me for the Baldwin Honors Program. We have the Drew Action Scholars Program, which is a 4-year program with a a 4-year scholarship with a 2-year program. So you'll receive the scholarship for all 4 years. It's $2,500 per year, but it's only a 2-year program. And the program is really for students who are interested in making some type of impact in their community and their world. It partners students who are interested in technology and innovation with students who have maybe a global focus on what they want to do, and students who are interested in community service. They work together in cohorts to address real world problems and find solutions for those. So it's a great program for students who have those interests. And lastly, we do have an art scholarship of $1,000 per year. You do not have to be an arts major in order to receive this scholarship. With both the Action and Art scholarships, there is a separate application. The Action Scholarship application is built right into your Common or Coalition app. The Art Scholarship application can be found at our website, and with the Art Scholarship, you will have to submit a sample of your work. We do have a number of events that are constantly coming up, and we would love to have you join us for those. We have some virtual events, and we are also open for on-campus in-person tours. So you can scan this QR code. I promise it is not another poll or quiz. It just takes you to our visit website. But we do webcast Wednesdays, which are half-hour webcasts on different topics related to the university or the different programs at Drew. Some of the more recent ones we did was one on theater and dance. We've done science and research. We've done the BAMD program. We do a number of different webcasts, and they're every Wednesday evening from 7 to 7:30. Our open houses have been virtual for the fall. They are called Discover Drew Days. We have them once a month, and they're a great opportunity to hear from more of our current students like Alexa and hear their stories and experiences, as well as from some of our faculty and staff about all of the opportunities available at Drew. And again, we are open for campus tours right now. So if you go to our website, you'll be able to sign up for a campus tour. Here is a list of all of the admissions counselors that cover New Jersey. We are broken up by different counties, and it is the county where you go to high school. So for example, if you attend high school in Middlesex County or Essex County, I am your admissions counselor. If you attend high school in Bergen County or Somerset County, Annie is your admissions counselor. So you can grab a picture of this page. Our emails are listed here, as well as the counties that we serve. We would love to chat with you one-on-one about Drew, connect you with one of our current students or a professor, or just answer any of the questions that you may have. And we have now arrived at the end of our presentation. We're going to take a few minutes to answer some of your questions. So feel free to use that Q&A function so we can answer your questions. But on behalf of Annie and Alexa and myself and all of us at Drew, we thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm going to turn it back over to Annie so we can get to some Q&A.
So yeah, I echo everything Lakeisha just said. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about Drew. As great as technology is these days, and as these virtual opportunities to plug in from wherever are, I do strongly encourage you guys to come set foot on campus, and especially this time of year, it's our favorite time to be in the forest with the beautiful foliage, and it's just a beautiful time to be on campus. So definitely take advantage of the fact that we offer tours Monday through Friday, and most weekends as well, on either Saturday or Sunday. So I'll just give it a couple minutes. While, some questions, I'll give you guys time to think of any questions you might have. While we're waiting, I do wonder, and Alexa did just such a great job talking about her, experience as a student athlete and some of her involvement at Drew. But Alexa, I love hearing about your specific UN semester and the project you worked on. So if you could elaborate on that while we...
Yeah, sure. I participated in the UN semester last fall. We do a two-day-a-week class in New York City. So we went on Tuesdays and Thursdays, took a train from Madison and went right into Penn Station. So there's a two-part class to this. So there's the section where we discuss and learn about what the UN does, its inner workings, and then you have a research component to it, which is your other class. You have to come up with an independent research project of your choosing, and it has to just relate to the United Nations. Could be anything. The professor doesn't tell you what you have to do. You literally can come up with it. So soccer had always been a big part of my life. I've been playing for the longest time. So I decided to see how the United Nations and FIFA, which is the governing body of soccer internationally, use soccer as a tool for development in different countries through different organs. So I looked at how UNICEF uses soccer, how the United Nations Development Program uses soccer. And I looked at the Labor Council there as well. So all these different programs, and I really just took a deep dive in what initiatives and programs that they've instituted in terms of helping out children and adults across the world with growing as a country in development, so they can have better connections with other nations globally. And I chose soccer because of my personal connection, but also it's the most universal sport across the world. So it was pretty much a no-brainer for me to pick that. And it actually, my paper ended up winning best paper for the United Nations semester. So that was a great surprise because my professor, he was very interested in my topic, but he was not sure how well it would come together and if it would work out. So I guess it worked out well for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexa. I love hearing you talk about it every time because it just is clearly a passion of yours and it's something you should be proud of. And I think it's just such a great example of something that you're deeply passionate about and how, you brought that with you and you combined your athletic interest and your academic interest and, really produced a great research paper. So, well, I hope you guys found today both helpful and enjoyable. I hope you are walking away with a good sense of kind of the genetics of Drew and what makes us a special, distinctive place. We hope to see all of you on campus at some point soon. Again, feel free to, connect with us on Instagram, connect with us, attend a webcast Wednesday. You can do all of these things from the comfort of your homes, your couch or your bedroom or wherever, and come to campus. We have a lot of great visit opportunities, both virtually and actually setting foot on campus. So take advantage of that, and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you guys so much. So just a little bit before you close out. So thank you for joining us. When you close your window, there will be a quick 4-question survey that will appear. So make sure that you complete that and then head over to sign up for more sessions at www.njacac.org/virtual-fair. And again, all the recordings will be available within the next week at the same website, www.njacac.org/virtual-fair. Thank you guys again.
Awesome. Thank you.